Really? You're not
Yes,
gonna share your camera?
we can hear you,
Are you an
Julie.
imposter?
An imposter.
Hey, it's Monday. What do you expect?
Come on, look at me. I'm working from my couch. Really?
Forget it.
That is not an excuse, Tony.
Ah,
And why is Lucas like looking like that? Dude.
Something wrong with my Mac after upgrade.
Oh. I guess this is the wrong time to like figure it out.
It's what?
This is the wrong time to figure it out. Join a call.
Yeah, I upgraded on Thursday. Never had, didn't have any meeting after. I was supposed to meet with
Ah,
someone, but this person was lazy and not attending the meeting. You know him?
I mean, if you're gonna talk to me directly. Face me. Hey,
So
Alejandra. Hello. Good morning.
we live? Yeah, we're live. Okay.
You're on mute. Ah, I guess you're still booting.
oh, yeah.
Yes, I can hear you now.
I was just saying that it looks like you're like falling asleep or like taking a nice nap, like dialing
I I can I definitely understand you now much better, Alejandra. I'm in the Bay Area right now. So it's 7 a.m. for me as well.
Oh, so now you know what it's like. You're welcome. Yeah, the last time I tried to get a one-on-one call with Fran, or I don't remember when, but at some point I asked him for a one-on-one. And he's like, here's my calendar. It'd be better for me at, your 7 a.m. I'm like, yeah, but for me, it'd be better at 7:30 a.m.
Well, I mean, like, it's different in each country. I would say, like, I'm never wake up at this time in Spain, but I know that people in the Bay Area usually are waking up at 6 a.m., something like that, so pretty easily. So, I mean, not in the Bay Area, in this time zone.
So that's why you
So,
thought that torturing me shouldn't be a big deal because I should be used to it by now.
of course, of course, like if you sleep at 9 p.m., it's easy. Which is what I'm doing right now. I'm going to sleep at 9 p.m. here.
Mm.
Uh,
I actually
but yeah.
didn't know you were in San Francisco, so that's kind of funny. How long are you there?
Since Saturday, and I'll be here until Friday. Actually, Thursday. Friday, I'm arriving home. So yeah,
Oh, wow. That's a long trip.
it is. Yeah, the whole week basically. So
Mm.
yeah.
Well, I hope you get to do something fun and not just boring work stuff.
Oh yeah, I went to visit the Pixar animation studios. So that was
Hmm.
cool. That was a cool visit.
Oh, man, that
Yeah.
is fun.
I've been like cycling all around. I rented a bicycle, so it's super fun. And now I'm meeting here the Microx folks, Jason Schema folks, and so on, the rest of the Postman Open Technologies folks here. Um, so yeah, now it's gonna be a little bit better because in the weekend I was just it was just myself alone. So yeah, can be a little bit boring sometimes, not having anyone to speak with.
You get to talk to yourself, get in front of a
I
mirror.
do. I do.
Fun.
That's why I said it's boring.
Oh,
The problem
I
of
see.
speaking to myself is that I know already what I'm going to say. So yeah,
Maybe that's your
no,
challenge. Try to surprise yourself. Say something you don't see coming.
I don't want to get there because that has a name, and it's not going to end up well. So let me ping people in case someone else wants to join.
Did you
Well,
did, did you folks update the upgrade to the latest Mac OS?
I did.
Sonoma. Do you also have this like this Did you use this new animated wallpaper?
It was by default. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Isn't it killing your like activity monitor? Shows it all the time, like picking 50% of CPU. It's like crazy. Like I
haven't
stop
checked.
it and then it restarts. Jesus, like it's
Oh,
called
you could
wallpaper video
change your
extension.
wallpaper. You change
Yeah,
it.
just disable it.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
I'm killing it. I'm killing it like with force.
you just put a basic static asset, Lucas.
Yeah.
Like a developer or something like that. Don't you know shit? Oh,
Is
now
there a
he
developer
ignores me.
room? All right. So let me try to find the discussion.
Good carpet.
Discussion. Where is it? Ah. All right. So I've seen I'm sharing the link here to the discussion, and I'll be sharing my screen in a second. I'm gonna share on the Restream chat. And where we are, where are we? Here. Okay. So this was so I posted this on the as sorry. So as per our last discussion, I asked this question here on the community, like what should be the purpose, vision, North Star of the community working group, community growth working group, and ping you all asking for feedback. So far, I missed Sergio's comment here. Okay, so he's putting comments on other conversation or what? I know here. Okay, so Lucas, grow the wall of text that I'm not gonna read. You can read, folks, but basically, well, I'm not gonna put my words on his text. So Lucas, did you want to explain or summarize this or somehow or?
Yeah, summary from my side is make it simple, don't do community growth, focus on maintainers growth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's also aligned with the goals that were set for 2024. And anyway, I see mainly people were always like last weeks were talking about maintainers growth. So that's why I suggest that. Start simple, basically.
All right. So is everyone else like agreeing with this? I see that Tuli was also like kinda agreeing with that point as well, or am I correct, Tuli?
Yes, I also agree.
Okay.
I voted yes for that because I felt that it might solve the problem we've been struggling to solve. We all can't seem to agree on what should be the main purpose of the working group. So I felt that Lucas's suggestion answered that problem, and that's why I voted yes on that idea.
All right. Okay. So, sorry. So if I understood then correctly, I want to check with all of you, of course, before moving forward. Let me stop sharing the screen because I think it's not necessary anymore. So we are 5 here. Okay. Not bad, but we're not all here. Okay, anyway. So maintainers growth. Are we all agreeing on this? Looks like Sergio is also agreeing on that. So is that correct? Oh. What? What is this? What is this? I love
What
it.
just happened?
I don't know. Like, oh,
Whoa.
whoa! I love it. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna do mine. Yeah,
Oh,
it worked. Nice.
love it. Okay. Default. So this will be the end. Let's say the purpose of. I mean, the name of the group will be like maintainers growth working group, right? Now, what's the goals? I think is what Tuli already drafted there, like to have more maintainers, right? I mean, I'm summarizing because it's better defined there, of course, but to get more maintainers, and I guess that simplifies things a lot, of course, because now we're all aligned on the same thing, on the same topic, which is what we were looking for. So cool, perfect. Now the thing is that, so my question here will be, what are we gonna be doing in order to achieve these goals, right? I think it's probably time for addressing this question, right? What do you think? Ace, you seem to be too relaxed. So what do you think should be that next what should we be doing in order to increase and to meet these objectives?
I mean, to me, personally, I think we need to like first start by breaking things down, right? Because it's really important. Let's say, for instance, we say, okay, we choose a particular project. Let's say, for instance, the async KPI React, for an example, and then we create a list of tasks, right? A list of maybe, I don't know, things to do in order for us to like meet or onboard a maintainer to async KPI React. And then we just like, have it publicly available. And then we also like get to like pick individually what we want to do. I mean, to me, I think that would be the best way to start. So, Alejandro, you said, but should we be tax oriented or goal oriented? Do you mind emphasizing on that?
Oh, I hope I'm not adding to the confusion. I was just wondering kind of like of the wording because I know that this is async API having a community working group meeting, but what we've been learning internally at Postman with the OKRs about, I felt that the OKRs at Postman kind of helped us think better about how we plan things long term instead of only being task oriented. And so I was wondering if in our current meeting with the async API open source stuff, if it was helpful to think about it that way as well. Is it helpful for us to only be task oriented, or should we be more focused on the goal and what we're trying to achieve and then deduce the steps? Am I being clearer or you're not? It really is just a question. I don't know what other people think.
Tuli, you want to say something?
Okay. No, you can answer Alejandro's question, then I will add what I think.
Yeah, I think I basically have the same question you just asked. Because now that you mentioned it, I think I'm also gonna like I'm also confused.
All right. Because the thing, I think I also wrote it that we don't really need to like reinvent like what we need to do. We need to just use what Barbangi has already done. And also like on the community side, we started
Sorry,
with other
what's that?
Sorry?
Sorry, and what do you mean by what Barbados has already done? I mean, like, what are you talking about?
I mean, Barbangi has done some research on some repos of like the requirements that other maintainers need. I need to find the document is there on the working group channel. So you can scroll up and see what the work that she has done. So it's almost like building on top of what's already there, what the community is currently doing, right? We also have like the maintainership, for instance, right? Fine, we haven't started the Async API mentorship program, right? We need to figure out how we're going to do the maintainership. That is part of growing maintainers. We need to see how the Triasia commuter works. We still need to build on that. We also have, and I also emphasize that we need also to keep in mind that not all even though we're saying we're growing maintainers, not all of them work full-time, not all of them get paid. Yes, we have the bounty program on the side, but then we need to think, okay, what else can we do? We also have the Solvent Tech Fund that is pending. So we don't need like to like invent something new, but to build on top of what we have. So that's my suggestion. I also wrote it on the comment, like we already have some of the groundwork laid. Why not build on top of that? That's
Yeah,
my own side.
I mean, you make a lot of sense, but to me, like the problem to me personally now is because is that we don't have like anything laid down, like any workflow like existing in order for us like start doing these things, right? We don't have anything like, and that is the first thing. You know, we have like these old things, bounty programs and stuff. But to be honest, these things are like really, really not sustainable, right? If we don't have like a system in place, something we can follow, like a playbook.
What do you mean we don't have a system that is being laid on?
Yes, for instance, now we don't have like an example, an onboarding guide for maintainers. Are they going to be the same for all projects? Are they going to be different? How do we do that?
That's what I'm saying now. Like there is work that Barbaggio has done, right? The first thing was the onboarding guide for maintainers, right? So this is where I'm saying there is like groundwork. There are ideas that are there that we can start to build on. So if it's about creating onboarding, maintainers onboarding guide, then we start there. Like we have the groundwork there, but it's not like we are at a zero level, but it's all about building on top of that. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, do you mind sharing like the link to it?
Okay, let me look for it. But it's there on the community growth channel.
No, I
I'll
already
just need
searched. It's not there
pull
in
it
the
up.
Slack. So it's not there. That's why I can't find it. I feel very blind. I literally like I've been searching this whole time that Thuli was talking and I cannot find it, but I know what she's talking about. I know that that thing exists. I can't find it.
Okay, I got it. I got the doc. Let me quickly pull it out.
I went ahead and added it and pinned it to the top of her community working group in Slack. So now it is there. Should be easier to find the next time.
Yeah, that's really cool. I
Okay.
didn't know this existed.
Yeah. So I've seen this document, Tali, but I don't think these. I don't think these actually like I don't know the kind of word I'm looking for. I don't think this is actually related to when I say we have like a playbook, like something to work with. I mean, this is amazing. Like this is Barbano's like say, okay, this project needs this. This is what the maintainers part of a particular project thinks is needed. But how do we even like start? Like how do we say, okay, let's pick a KPI React. So how do we onboard a maintainer? Okay, fine. We already know what the repo needs, what the project needs, but then what is our work? What are we going to do? How are we going to onboard maintainers? Like we don't have anything solid. And I feel that is the most important thing. Exactly. We need to start. We need to start.
Yeah, I was going to say about to say that um we cannot answer this question for everything, right? Not even for a single one, because we need to. So we need. I think, in my opinion, we need to see ourselves as a what's the name of it? As a like a kind of support group, right? So let me just check. I mean, more than support. Let me try to find the right word. An enabling team. Yeah, it's usually called an enabling team, right? So we are here to, like, whoever demands our services, right? In this case, could be Async API React code owners. Let's say Async API React code owners demand us to help them with, let's say, onboarding new maintainers, right? Growing the number of maintainers they have there and so on. Cool. So that should be the first thing. Like they should be demanding our services, not the other way around, right? So we should not be going there and it's like, you know what? We're gonna grow your maintainers, right? It should be the other way around. They should be coming to us and say, or we can go to them and say like, hey, do you need our help? We can help you with this. You want us to help? Cool. We can go initially, of course, but it should be they agreeing that they need our help, right? Because they might not need it at all, or they don't want to, or whatever. So yeah, that's to start, let's say, to settle a little bit the basics of this relationship between the group and existing code owners of the projects, right? So let's say we take this in KPI React as an example. Code owners there will have to work side by side with us, let's say, hand in hand with us, to understand what's the best way to onboard maintainers on Async API React, right? So that will most likely mean something different for each project, right? But we don't know. Most likely, in my experience, I will say is that there's gonna be a common there are gonna be common things among all the repos for sure, but we don't know them yet, right? So I think our work here, in my opinion, is to discover this. So we're doing discovery work now. So we need to work with with the code owners and figure out what they need, document it well. Once, let's say, we're done with this project, we go to another project, repeat the same process that we have to define as well, but repeat the same process, document it, and see if we find some common pain points, as Alejandra was saying, and common things that we could be doing to help them. So on the third one, we can already probably suggest, hey, we saw this evidence in the last two. Maybe that works for you as well. Maybe not. We'll see. We need to still remain open. We document it, and at the end of all this, let's say, all this work with all the projects, maybe by the end of the year, probably, if at all, we will be able to confidently say, so this is the playbook. to onboard new maintainers, right? Because we've seen evidence in 4, 5, 6 repositories, and it's always the same thing. Like with different things here and there, or not. Maybe it's never the same. So the playbook is first go and explore with code with the code owners, try to figure out pain points, blah blah blah. You know, so the playbook can be written in different ways. The playbooks probably should not tell you what we should be doing, right? But more like what's the solution to onboard maintainers, but more like what should we be doing to discover these solutions for the maintainers, right? I don't know if I'm making myself understandable. It's too early. Sorry for that. Alejandra's like,
I just have to speak again. It is too early. And I'm just like, oh, like, karma sucks, doesn't it, Fran? Oh,
And I can just add already a first request. So me as a code owner, I need some basic documents, something that we agree on, like definition of maintainer, basic rules, that it's not just pushing your features, it's reviewing pull requests, it's reviewing issues, basic stuff like that can apply everywhere. And we can do it. We already have system for it. We have this .github repo where we have all these common files, like code of conduct. But code of conduct actually you cannot opt out from code of conduct. But for example, we have this reusable contributor guide, the basic one with just one type of maintainer, really simple instructions that you have to review, how to contribute. But there's no maintainer guide. And the contributor MD works in the way at the moment that we don't enforce it on all the projects. You can opt in to get this common contributing guide to kickstart faster. But some repos can opt out, like Podelina opt out, and they have champions. Spec opt out with our stuff in Spec. Website will soon opt out and will have this triage committers. Don't remember how we named it.
we already have it. It's triagers and committers.
Yeah, but we don't have yet this contributing guide written down, right? Yeah. But we opt out from the generic one, and we will have a custom one. And with maintainers, the best would be if we have this common standard way that we agree on in a group. What it means to be maintainer, what are the duties of maintainer, etc., etc. And then for example, in generator, I can say like, okay, the easiest will be, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Let's give me what async API standard gives me. All the guides, onboarding, etc. Let me pull it in, and that solves all the guides for me as maintainer. I know how to attract, how to use the bounty, how to use the maintainership if I want to have some graduates as maintainers. Maybe we'll figure out how to attract companies. Then there will be a guide how to attract seniors as maintainers, etc. But I would suggest that we start with the basic definitions, because I bet that also seeing on the participation of maintainers in different repos, not all of them regularly do the triaging of the issues. So I bet that there's no single standard and understanding what maintainer means. So I would say the basic definition, and the approach, my suggestion is to do it like we do for now with everything, with CI and contributing guides. So we define standard, and you opt in or opt out.
That's actually what I meant by discovering, right? So we need to go project by project, asking them, or of course asking them if they want to work on it, of course, but like work on this standard maintainer guide that Lucas was talking about. So making sure it's there, right? At least it exists, right? And then going project by project and say, hey, you know what, folks, you have this thing here. you have this maintainer guide here, but it's not so much about the maintainers guide. It's about discovering if they want to use a maintainers guide or this maintainers guide, or if they want to work on a new one just for them, right? If in case they don't agree with the standard one, let's say. So I will say if we had a playbook for this, will be okay. First step is reach out to maintainers, and let them know that there is a maintainers guide, but they can also opt out and work on their own one. That would be like, say, one of the steps, maybe not the first one, but one of the steps, right? So keep it open and easy to adapt for each case. Instead of like the alternative could be like go to each maintainer, let's say, or each repo and tell them, hey, here's a maintainer guide that you have to adopt, right? That is like super rude, right? We don't want that, exactly. So yeah, I will say like, to me, like we should be open to explore and to learn from the maintainers, maybe forever, but yeah, it's gonna take us a while until we figure out what's the best way to help them, right? So yeah, and that's definitely one let's say one of the first steps, like making sure that we're all aligned in what the definition of maintainer means, right? What maintainer means, because it might mean different things for different people and different projects. So I will say like recommend them that they define what a maintainer is and what they have to do. As simple as that, right? Exactly, alignment and definition of maintainer.
Yeah.
So
And sorry, because I'll jump in because I see that Alejandra raised her hand, but sorry, Alejandra, but I have to leave. I just want to mention one more thing. Ace can elaborate more. That's one thing that I also mentioned in this proposal, that we just focus on maintainer growth. So for example, me and Ace now also experiment with GSOC. We basically, I didn't plan to submit anything for GSOC, but I decided to do it eventually, because instead of submitting some new fancy feature in some project, me and Ace, he did it for conference website and me for generator, we submitted a project called Becoming Maintainer of the project. And we will basically explore, like we never wrote it down. So I also, with my the two folks that I'll select eventually, will have to have regular calls where I explain like, hey, like becoming maintainer means basically in majority of cases less coding, more interaction, and again and again. So I'll have to explain it, and would be great to have some help with writing it down somehow. Maybe some automated way we can transpile the meetings or whatever. Transpile, not transpile. Anyway, transcript. Yeah. But yeah, sorry, I have to get my kids.
I'm gonna use it a lot now. All right.
Yeah,
So,
you're still raising your hand.
Alejandra, I think you wanted to say something, right? You're mute.
Oh my God. Can you hear me now? Yes? Okay. Unfortunately for you, you can hear me now. I just wanted to say, for visibility, so that everyone was on the same page, since we're discussing right now, like the actual idea of finally writing these maintainer guides and identifying which projects agree that they need one, and anyway, so all this documentation that we're discussing right now, I just wanted to clarify that originally, for those that may not remember, we pitched to Google Season of Docs writing these contributor guides. As you know, we didn't make it this year. As you know, there's a lot of competition. So instead, I'm working with ACE, and we will have a technical writing category this year for the mentorship program. And instead of following that documentation stuff for Google Season of Docs, we will instead get that work done with the mentorship program. So since we're discussing, wait, how are we going to write all of this? Who's going to do this? I just wanted to clarify that it does look like we have the resources to help with that this year.
I mean, that would be really, really awesome because I mean that's also like my worry because I'm like, who's gonna write all of this? How are we gonna write all this stuff? But I'm really glad like we have the resources already in our reach, and then we can just like use this Incubator mentorship program to like hire technical writers because that would be really awesome. But my main question now is the communication. So we already said we're gonna like reach out to these mentors, so that mentors and stuff that maintain us, right? I said mentors, right? Maintain us, right? But the problem now is how we gonna do this communication? Are you gonna say, hey, you know, I talk to this maintainer, Alejandra, I talk to that maintainer, or what? Like how are we gonna have this communication in a synchronous like manner?
I think it's too early to answer this question, probably. Like, so let me elaborate on that. I think we're still defining what we want to do. Like so far, what I have here is renaming the group to Maintainers Growth Working Group and work with maintainers to define what maintainer means for each case, for each of the projects, right? Not sure. I mean, if we want to just stick to one thing, we can stick to one thing, like defining what maintainer means. But we're many people in the group for just that. I mean, well, depending on how we see it. We can stick to this task only, let's say, this thing, like we're gonna define what maintainer means, and then we can split the group, and let's say, so Alejandra is gonna reach out to these two groups, Ace is gonna reach out to these other two groups, and so on, and then we all gonna if possible asynchronously, but also from time to time in calls, like share our findings, right? So that we can all learn from each other, right? Even split work, yeah. So we will go like, I think we could go like this, but the other option is trying to go a little bit farther and not stopping here. So instead of stopping at working with maintainers to define what maintainer means and so on, instead of stopping there, we can try to figure out what's the next task, let's say, right? So what other things we should be doing other than that, right? So yeah, and then we can decide afterwards. We can decide. So we go all the group one by one, or we split half the group, or some people in the group in the first one, half of the other in the second one. So we can then define how we're gonna do it, but we still need to make it clear, like what we want to do, right? What exactly? We understand the why, so the why is clear now. We want to grow the number of maintainers. Cool. Now that's it. It's important. We need to understand the why, right? So that's the goal, right? We want to grow the number of maintainers. The second thing to me, in my opinion, is what we want to do to achieve this, and then we'll define the how individually, right? Like in each individual task, we can define exactly how to do it. Does that make sense? So
that the next thing is to define what we're going to do. Does that mean that that's like the next meeting, or is this something we do offline, or what do we do next?
Actually, we can continue now. I think like we have 15 more minutes. So we have one thing, which is working with maintainers to align on what maintainer means for each of them, right? And also working on, to do that, one of the things is a part of the how is we will come up with a maintainer guide, like the standard one, right? On how to do it, like taking it from what it's existing right now, more or less, so that they can reuse this one, adopt this one, or work on a different one altogether if they don't agree with this one, right? But another thing that we could be doing is that like what happens when we get a new maintainer, right? When there's a new maintainer on the initiative on Async KPI, there should be like a kind of onboarding, right? For maintainers as well, like an onboarding call probably to let them know like, hey, so
No onboarding calls. Let's automate onboarding calls. Let's do
Yeah.
onboarding documentation checklists.
Well, that's the aim. That's the goal, to automate it completely. But I will go first for manual way of doing it, documenting it, and then iterating over it until a point where it's not needed anymore. But right now, I think it's probably too early. And also, we want to make sure that the maintainers are aware of these things. So I would rather do a 30 minutes call or even 15 minutes call with maintainers where we explain, because where we explain everything and all the things that exist in the community, let's say for them, right? All the tools they have at their hand. Also what it means to become a TSC member, right? So, and also letting them know, like, you don't have to be a TSC member if you don't want to. Like, you can be a maintainer, but if you want to opt out as TSC member, that's completely fine as well. Not many people know that. And I'm speaking here now a little bit from Lucas' words, because in my last meeting with him last week, so he told me that he's been doing that with some people, like onboarding them, and apparently this is working super well, and also they are more engaged in the TSC voting, right? So they are engaging more in all the votings. Yeah, because they already know that it's their responsibility as part of the TSC group, right? So yeah, I think this is also important, like explaining what it means to be a TSC member, the bounty program that they have to help other maintainers, let's say, or engage other maintainers, or not just maintainers, but it's usually targeted at maintainers. And what else? This thing about scheduling meetings, like GitHub Actions for scheduling meetings. And there are many things, there are many tools that we have in the community that they're not aware of. Many of the maintainers are not aware of. And maybe they don't want to use them. They don't want to participate in votings and so on. So they can opt out to be a TSC member if they don't want to, right? So yeah, I think this could be another good thing to have, just to engage them a little bit more, right? So yeah, don't know what you think. Tuli, you're super silent today.
I'm not silent. I'm just listening in and absorbing the information.
I'm curious about your
But why do
opinion.
you say I'm silent? But I'm not silent. I'm there. I'm not silent. I'm there.
Then you're
You just trying. She's
literally
trying so hard
silent.
to defend herself.
You're
What?
literally silent, right? So like you were not speaking. That's why I said that. So, and I want to know your opinion. That's why I said that.
Oh my God. So do I speak that much? Is that what you're saying?
No. What I'm saying is that you're not speaking in this call, and I want your opinion. That's it. We don't do too many calls together to understand if you speak a lot or not.
No, I do agree. Like we need to step back a bit, like take baby steps, because if we become too ambitious, we will get confused. So yeah, we can split like the task. If we are to communicate with the maintainers and find out like the common ground, like what they think maintainership is all about, then we can start like with the onboarding as thereof. Then we can now think the next step of how we're going to do it. At least we now have the onboarding guides. We know we're speaking with the maintainers. We have gotten their opinions. Then we can now sit down and really think, okay, what is the next step? Now we have the onboarding guides. Even if like new maintainers come, at least we now have a standard, like the maintainer checklist, what they need to know. And like you said, some maintainers, they really don't know that they need to vote. If they're part of TC, they need to vote and all of these things, of which, yeah, it makes sense for us to have. Yeah, baby steps. I think we should take baby steps, one thing at a time, not to take a lot of overload. Yeah.
Yep. Agree. Step by step.
And
Slow.
one thing I also wanted to add is so I think a lot of discussions that like happen in community working group, which is probably going to be named maintainership working group. But the problem I notice now is the ability to like actually track these discussions, right? So we have like so many discussions like happening, but in different places. And eventually, sometimes I get lost. And, so I think it would also make sense because it would make it more streamlined in an amazing way. Also like have a way to like have, I don't know how we're gonna do that, but I think it will really help to have all these discussions easily accessible and relatable.
Yeah, probably I think the next step will be for us to self-organize ourselves, is to have a project, like a GitHub project or something like that, where we put all together there, like the tasks that we want to do, right? And in the definition of the task, I will put all the knowledge that we have. Like, there's this discussion here happening about this, discussion there about that. So at least it's all in a single place. I think it's good that we have discussions in many places. That's fine. It's part of the nature of the distributed community, let's say. That's completely fine. And it's gonna get worse. So at some point, you're gonna create a conversation or a discussion in each repo.
Yes.
Right? The maintainers, so it's gonna get worse, right? Slowly, as as Tuli was saying, like, probably step by step, but there's gonna be a discussion in eventually there's gonna be a discussion in each repo or almost each repo. So, and that's completely fine because we need to go where the maintainers are, right? We need to go to their repos and have the discussion there, or an issue or whatever. I think that's fine. But in some place, we need to have all these things aggregated in a single place so we can easily find them, right? So we can have that, this tasks, let's say, on the GitHub project, or issues if you want, in the community repo, or maybe, I don't know, somewhere else. We can decide. Yeah, go ahead, Alejandra.
I was just gonna say that I was just glad that Ace brought up that he had felt often confused about how there's communication going all over the place, but there doesn't seem to be a way to align all of these communication pieces. And so it's kind of like, if you're lucky and you notice it in a GitHub notification, but otherwise, good luck to you.
That's it.
And I think that one thing that I really think would help us to start solving that problem, because I don't think it's best for us to just say, oh, it's okay, it's just going to get worse, because I don't think that really inspires us to see what we can do better. Like, I do think that there are things we can do better today. So one thing that I think strongly would really help is, I really would like it if people would not just leave a GitHub comment and then go about their day. Like, to me, that's not completing the project, because I know Lucas may or may not see that comment tomorrow because he has 200 notifications a day, probably, right? What do I know? So to me, completing the project is, let's pretend I put up my quarterly documentation report out, and I know I need somebody to review it and approve it, or I can't merge it. So to me, inadequate communication is only leaving a comment in the pull request and then wondering months later why nobody responded. And, oh, I didn't get my thing merged. Come on. Instead, to me, adequate communication is not just leaving a comment in the GitHub, discussion, pull request, whatever. But if you think that there's a specific person or stakeholder you need to align with, like just reach out to them in DM or the appropriate Slack channel and tag someone if it's a more broader audience. But I really see us missing that communication step and that check-in. And I think that that's more efficient than leaving 5 comments in a row in a GitHub pull request saying, Lucas, still waiting for you to review. Lucas, still waiting for you to review. That's not working. So instead, I'll just DM Lucas specifically, give him a link to the pull request and the issue. And maybe, I don't know if people are laughing at me and saying, what do you mean, Alejandra? Like, that's a total normal thing to do. But no, we're not actually doing this. And,
Yeah.
and the other big problem is that we have a lot of, all of us, we're all opening public discussions because, of course, anyone should be able to do that, right? But it would be nice to have better alignment on when we're creating these discussions because, for example, I would want to go back into the, I don't know, maintainer working group Slack channel. And I would actually, I think it'd be better if I actually wrote, hey, I was wondering about this and I open a community discussion. Please let me know if I accidentally duplicated this. There's already another conversation like this going out there. But at least now we have like all of these maintainer related working group questions, like if there's discussions coming up, like now we're like aligning in the Slack channel and letting people know. So anyway, that was like the 2 main things that I really wish we could think more about how to improve on.
Yeah, just to add on that, I think also it's our responsibility to follow up on the discussions that are happening on Slack, because sometimes, like for instance, right today, like Barbanyo wrote this, I think a couple of weeks ago, then it was not found, of which sometimes we need to go back and see, okay, let's trace back and see some of these discussions that were done and reread, because it's not only about, yes, there is communication here and there, but it's also up to us to really follow up and see, okay, where is the discussion currently going? And also, like you said, you need to ping each other if it's on Slack, hey, each other, this discussion is still stagnant, can we move forward? Because people tend to forget, but also we need also to take up that responsibility to also follow up on these discussions or these conversations. Yeah, and maybe, we need the community board. At least we can see, okay, what's currently in progress, what's going on, what discussion has been opened, and what's closed. Then it will be easier to track the communication as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree because sometimes I'm like, okay, I wanna see what's going on in community working group. What am I missing? But then I don't know how to find what I'm missing because we don't have a go-to place where I can see all of these things and say, okay, I think I've checked this, but I haven't checked this. Let me see what's going on here. I think it would be really, really awesome. And also looking from the point of view of someone that is willing to also be a part of the working group, a fresh person. It will be easier for the person to move things, keep things moving, right? Because you can just say, oh, go to this particular board, whatever it is you're looking for, whatever discussions we've had in the past, you can find everything here, right? Because we are tracking everything. It will be easier than me saying, okay, Barbano pinged me 4 weeks ago, and I'm like, now I remember. But then how can I find it? There's no way. So it would really make sense if we have a way to track all of these discussions.
Yeah, agree with that. So just so then to summarize a little bit, I will say let's create a board, right? A GitHub project. Let's I will say even let's communicate our intentions in the Slack group, in the Slack channel as well. If you had an idea that, let's say hey, I thought that it would be cool to create this conversation or this discussion here and there, whatever you come up with, communicate the intention first before you create the discussion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just had this idea. What if we create a discussion here and there, and then we discuss on Slack? We can duplicate stuff I think it's okay to have things duplicated, let's say in Slack and in the GitHub project, which is ultimately it's a GitHub issue, right? So I think it's okay to have things duplicated in that sense. Because Slack is more for, let's say, casual conversations, fast, quick conversations. The GitHub issues and so on are more like for are not good for long discussions, let's say, because it's really painful to follow. So if you want to have like a quick, let's say, quickly share your thoughts on something, then, and if the group decides, like, oh yeah, this is a great idea, go ahead and create a discussion, then you put it on the GitHub issue, right? Like I'm creating, so Fran is creating this discussion in this repo about this and that, right? So it gets registered there, right? And we can follow there as well. But for the chit chats, you know, like for the back and forth and so on, let's use Slack, of course. Otherwise, it's a pain to discuss on GitHub. And just to clarify what I meant before, by, you know, like it's about to get worse. It's in the sense I meant like it's about to get worse in the sense that it's gonna get more distributed. Right now we have like, I think we have like 2 discussions on GitHub on the community repo, right? On the community repo in GitHub. So what I meant by it's gonna get worse is that it's gonna go beyond the community repo. So now we're gonna end up at some point, we're gonna end up having multiple discussions in different repos, right? I mean, that's one way to do it, right? Go where the maintainers are. The other way to do it probably will be, let's create the discussions always in the community repo, even if it's about a particular repository, right? And invite these maintainers to go there and chat there and discuss there and blah, blah, blah. I will not do it because then we're going to make a lot of noise in the community repo, right? It's going to be full of noise from different projects that people don't care. It's not related to the wider community, you know, it's related to a specific thing. So yeah. So I will keep these conversations in the individual repos. Therefore, it's super important for us that we have the tools to track them all in a single place, right? That's why I said like having this GitHub project within a single issue, or I don't know if discussions can be tracked on a GitHub project. I don't think so, but I can check. No, I don't think so. But yeah, if it cannot be tracked, then we can have a single issue where we track all the, let's say, discussions as a list, right? And once they are done, like once the discussion is done and basically we finish discussing with it, we can either mark it as complete on the issue, or I was going to say remove it, but yeah, let's not remove it. Let's leave a trace that this discussion happened in the past. So yeah, let's not remove information. And yeah, we can have a single place where we collect all the discussions and issues and whatever else, right? Whatever else we have. So yeah. Does that make sense? Is that what we were all discussing here, or? Okay. Like kids, we're like kids.
Yeah.
Okay, so create the GitHub project. I will share the, let's say, next steps, you know, the action items with all of you. So yeah. So one thing we have to decide then is how are we going to split these tasks, right? So let me share what I have. so far. This is what we have so far as action items, right? So I can take the number one if you want, right? It's easy. It's just renaming the channels and so on. Maybe, yeah, I wouldn't even yet try to register the working group. Not yet. Let's make it. Thanks, Alejandra. Yeah. The more transparency, the better. So yeah. Now for the second point, like work with maintainers to define what maintainer means for each of them. This is the big task, right? This is the big one. So how do you want to do it? Like, how do you want to start that? Do you want to postpone this for the next meeting? Do you want to decide it here today, how we're going to approach it?
I think this one is not. I mean, if we decide this one here, I don't think it's okay because we also like have to like this also like requires input from other people like Sergio and Lukash. And yeah, I think Sergio has been voted as a chairperson, if I'm not wrong, based on the vote. So I think it's actually important for Sergio to be here if we are gonna make any decision about the second action item.
Yeah, you're right. All right, so you want me to? I think the first one is fine. Like we can go ahead and rename it. I don't think anyone will complain about it. It's not that important, let's say. But for the second one, we can. I will say, actually, we can create the GitHub project, and the first task will be to, the first task there will be to define what maintainer means for each case, and then there we can discuss who's gonna take care of what, right, and how we're gonna do it. Does that make sense? That this idea
Yes, definitely.
Trying to put a little bit of structure into the whole process. Okay. Right.
So who is creating the GitHub project and adding the first thing?
I can take it. No worries. I'll do it.
Oh, okay.
I assign it to Fran.
I am assigning to Fran. The Lord said.
Oh, God.
Okay. So I think that's all clear. Let's say for next steps. You think it makes sense to have yet another meeting next week?
Yes.
I think it will be
just so integral to any future things we want to do under this group. And I've actually been discussing with Ace even months before this, I think, about how we don't seem to have the same understanding about what a maintainer actually is.
Yeah.
Is mentorship and onboarding new people part of the job? Some maintainers don't think so. So I actually think this is a big enough topic that it merits its own phone call, and I don't know. Yeah.
Just to make it clear, so we don't have to define it. We don't have to define what maintainer means. So we need to help current maintainers to define what they understand as maintainer. So we should not be imposing them any maintainer definition, right? That's my thinking here. So we don't have to come up with a definition of maintainer. We can come up with a definition of maintainer, let's say like a generic one, like the default one that people might buy or might not, right? Like Lucas said, like maintainer might involve like reviewing code, answering questions, teaching other people, and so on, and defining the roadmap of the tool or the project and so on. So that's, or participating on it at least. So it's not just coding, right? But it can also be coding, of course. So yeah, so that will be, to me, that will be like the generic definition of a maintainer. But then you go to Modelina, for instance, and they don't buy it, right? They have another one, right? You go to the spec, they don't buy it, right? Because it's a different one. So we need to make it clear what it means for each of them. But again, we are an enabling team, so we need to enable them to come up with this definition, not impose any definition coming from us on them, right? It will be the other way around. We're here to help, not to impose, right? So not to impose any definition. So yeah, I think I want to remark this because I think it's truly important. Otherwise, people will not want to work with us, basically. And we have no right to enforce anything on them. We have no right. We have no special permission here, anything like that. When it comes to power, let's say, they are above us, actually. Right? So let's remember that. Right? So the best way to help them here is to convince them that this is a good idea, not to yeah, make it mandatory or something like that.
One question, right? So, or maybe it's for the next with the next meeting, right? Will these discussions, will they be private? Will they be public?
You mean the discussion of
Because-
what maintainer means?
with the maintainers, sorry.
That's a good point. I will make it public by default. That's something that we can discuss, of course. I think probably for the next meeting, but my opinion here is that I will make them public by default, and if they want to keep it private, we can apply this Chatham House rule, right? So we take it private, but then we put the result of the discussion in a public discussion or issue or something like that, right?
Okay.
So the result has to be public. The conversation might not be.
Okay.
It might happen that people don't want to take it public because, yeah, like maybe in this conversation you want to complain that your maintainer, your colleague maintainer is just doing nothing, right? Or something like that, and people will not feel comfortable saying these things in public. But it's still important for us to know if someone is not super active, right? Yeah, or they're just nerds. So yeah, you never know. So yeah, some people like get scared because the call is public and they don't speak up. So yeah. So yeah, we need to remain open, but it's a good discussion. Let me put it for the next meeting. So next meeting agenda will be discussing if discussions with maintainers should be public, private, Chatham House rule, or whatever. Anything else you want to discuss in the next call? I think if we keep it to a single thing for each call, will be much easier.
Yeah, but I believe the
makes
next
sense.
call, is gonna like unveil a lot of things. So we're just gonna look forward to that.
What? The next call is what? Sorry.
The next call is gonna unveil a lot of things, right?
Oh yeah.
Because that the next call is like really important.
Oh yeah. Also, like there would be elephants in the room. Yes. So okay. That's good. That's more than enough. Let's just put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Yeah, cool. So, are we all done? It doesn't work for
Yes.
I think it's because I have a background on, the virtual background, and it looks like you and Ace don't have a virtual background. So I think maybe that's why it doesn't work.
you. Interesting.
So I know. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay. It works a little
What?
bit for.
What was that?
Mm. I have to go. So
Yeah,
I-
it worked.
We can keep playing here. Don't worry, Alejandra. If you have to leave, don't feel bad. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.